to welcome you all formally. Faizal.
Bonjour, guten Tag, guten Morgen, habari, selamat pagi, ahlan wa sahlan, assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming to ICVA's annual conference. Thank you so much for being here, and welcome back to friends, old friends, members of ICVA, new friends, old new friends, new old friends, all sorts of friends we have today. And especially a big thank you to all of you who've come from so far away, from thousands of kilometers away, and also for those of you who've come just from around the corner. Sometimes it's harder to come when you're just around the corner. It's actually more difficult to get off from the office. And so thank you so much for all the efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, just by being here, and just by being present, you actually add so much value already to this conference. But we hope that it's more than that, that you will engage positively and in an encouraging and also in a very selective, discriminatory, in the sense that it will be of high quality, as well as engaging with each other. Now, the Secretariat, who worked very hard, also deserve a round of thank you. And thank you, James, as well as the organizing committee, the interns, as well as the entire Secretariat for all your hard work. Now, they've asked me to do one thing, which chairs usually don't do, but I think because James is terrified to ask you to do this. So he's asking me to do it. With that, I call upon my fellow ICVA board members to please stand up. This is a board of introduction. Board members, please. You have Mike Penrose from Action Control Farm, Roger Yates from Plan International, Neil Sisson from CFSI, Mary Pack from IMC, Arvind Gargil from NRC, Reshma Adatia from Alliance, and Julia Meyerhoff from APRRN. So, and Mamadou Ndaye from OFATEC, and Leila Morita from the Refugee Consortium of Kenya. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the ICVA board. Can the ICVA Secretariat please stand up if you're in the room?
Yay.
These are the people who actually do the real work. And of course, you have Nan there, whom I hope everybody knows. You should. Rafael, our Director of Policy and Partnership. Jane at the back, our Director for Finance and Admin, and the staff. Reza, our Regional Rep for Middle East, North Africa. James, you know. Melissa Pitotti, our Senior Policy Officer, in charge of the most difficult work you can imagine. And Cecilia, and Manuela, and Beatrice, yes, our Program Officer from, and Liliane, and Beatrice. Liliane, our Regional Rep from West Africa. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Can I call upon my fellow NGO colleagues? If you're from an NGO, please stand up, please.
Oh,
I'm not going to try to do
all NGOs. Yes, we're all NGOs.
But I'm going to take this moment to especially acknowledge Mr. Paul O'Brien, our former chair of ICVA. Ladies and gentlemen, please an acknowledgement and applause for him for coming all the way. Thank you. Thank you. Please sit down. And if you're from a member state, you're going to be very popular today. If you're from a member state, please stand up. Very young members from the member state. Thank you very much. Again, I won't attempt to introduce you. I'm sure some more will be coming as we go along in the morning. And if you're from the UN system, please do stand up. Our best friends.
Yes, you exist.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure some of the other more illustrious colleagues will be joining us as well as the morning goes along. And now, if you're from none of the above, please stand up. Manisha, I know you're one. Please. Ladies and gentlemen, again, an acknowledgement please for Manisha Lawrence. Right, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we live in very exciting but challenging times. These are perhaps the most challenging times and yet the most interesting times in the history of mankind. We have, at least in recorded history, we don't know what happened in Atlantis, if it existed, but at least in recorded history, this is a time and moment where mankind has more technology than ever, more ability and capacity than ever, and yet we are faced with some of the biggest crises that humanity has faced in its history. We have the biggest efflux and movement of refugees and migrants since World War II. We have complex and protracted crises which don't seem to have an end. We have the biggest humanitarian crisis in recent times on the borders of Syria and inside Syria. We have climate change issues. We have natural disasters occurring more frequently, more severely. We have combined effects of man-made climate change issues together with natural ones, resulting in bigger problems. We have El Nino, and later to be followed if the climatologists are to be believed by La Nina at the end of this year. We have also terrorism and the war on terror and its unresolved issues at its roots. Some of you have come from Brussels and Paris, and we empathize with all the difficulties that you are having. But all is not doom and gloom though. We also have had several commitments. We've had governments come up with commitments at COP21. At least they made some commitments. I know it's a long way to go. We have Burma, Myanmar opening up. Who would have thought? And with a democratically elected government. 3 years ago, none of you here would have predicted that. So all is not bad, but all is not good either. At the center of it are all of us, the humanitarian sector and humanitarian aid workers. Ladies and gentlemen, the ICVA Annual Conference has been known to stir up the hornet's nest and also provoke, and we intend to do the same this year. I can remember ICVA Annual Conference being the first time when financing was discussed in a way that encompassed NGO and civil society interests. I also remember ICVA's annual conference bringing to the fore the issue of innovation, although it was initiated by others, but having it discussed here meant that the wider NGO community was engaged. I also remember a certain lady by the name of Diganani having the floor here at one ICVA conference and propositioning the need for more Southern NGO voice. And I also remember a call last year for a charter for change, for a look at how international NGOs and the UN system was degrading the capacity of national NGOs. Now, not all of these issues later became ICVA's main issue and main standpoints, but they were provocative issues, they were issues that needed to be addressed, and they were, either by ICVA or by others. So this year, ICVA's annual conference provides a unique opportunity to take stock, and this year is no different. Simply because we are at 2016, we are in 2016, and we are on the 5th of April, which is 23 plus 25, 47 days away from our big day in Istanbul, the mother of all summits. And we say that because over the last 1.5 years, we've had 5 at least. We began with the WCDRR in Sendai, we had the Sustainable Development Goals in New York, we had then the COP21 in Paris. We're going to have others as well, and we're going to have a later one, a summit on migration on September 19th. But everything and most things have been focused for the last 2.5 years on the World Humanitarian Summit. Therefore, as the summit draws nearer, we are taking advantage of today's conference to change the conference a bit. And while usually ICVA's conference is a little bit more academic, with plenary and panels in the morning and breakout sessions in the afternoon, today we're trying to do it a bit differently. In the afternoon, you will have the ability and the opportunity to engage with each other freely in a more less and very informal manner to actually discuss very pertinent issues leading up to the World Humanitarian Summit. Our goal for today's conference is not, I repeat, not to identify a roadmap or commit to an action plan. We cannot. That's partly because it's the strength of ICVA is in its diversity. It is also perhaps its Achilles heel in a way. But we at the board and secretariat try to make the Achilles heel as small as possible all the time. And So we're not going to identify a roadmap. It is going to be an opportunity for us to engage and exchange ideas and strengthen each other's agenda and commitment. There will be a call for commitments, a session on that, and the main proponents of some of those calls will be at tables, and you'll be free to join them. Our goal today is also to discuss complementarity and to unpack it and to look at it from various angles and lenses and to reiterate the relationship between complementarity, localization, the issue of local and national NGOs as well as local and national leadership, either at civil society or in local and national governments, with international leadership, with international action, with international bodies, with the UN, with International Red Cross, with international NGOs. Ladies and gentlemen, complementarity, if you look up the Oxford Dictionary, means a situation or relationship whereby two things or two sides, two different things or two different sides, enhance each other's qualities. That's what we should be doing. Ladies and gentlemen, with the problems we have now in Syria, in CAR, in South Sudan, in DRC, in Rakhine, in the Pacific Islands, which are facing submersion underwater, no one agency can do it alone. None of us can do it alone, not Nasi Malaysia, not ICVA, not AMEL, not World Vision, not Oxfam, not UNHCR, not IOM. No one can do it alone. We all have to do this together. The trick, however, is how to do it together well, and that's where complementarity comes in. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to end by saying that complementarity is in ICVA's DNA. The very fact that we have a very diverse membership and that our board and secretariat is as diverse as you can get is testament to that. It's also very true that ICVA works in complementarity with national and international bodies, and the Voluntary Summit build-up is an example of that. Over the last 2.5 years, we've been heavily engaged, especially in 2 or 3 particular streams, but and also promoting a campaign on principles of partnership. And over the last 1 year and 6 months particularly, we've been heavily engaged with the Grand Bargain and the issues around it, which will be one of the most tangible outcomes we predict of the World Economic Summit. On the Grand Bargain, ICVA has worked in complementarity with SCHR and Interaction, our 2 other NGO consortium bodies. And we hope also that in the near future, should the new Global Southern NGO Network come into being, we hope that ICVA will be able to work in complementarity with that network as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, and because we have a full agenda today, and because you will unfortunately see me again, I would like now to hand over to ICVA's Executive Director, Man Faizal, who has a long history and a history of accomplishment and achievement in the sector. One of the few people who can call me young man, and I actually don't mind. We'll start today's deep dive into complementarity, and I have no doubt whatsoever that she will be able to bring to us the scene and set the scene properly for our discussions today, and will bring both refreshing and challenging insights. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll please welcome Nan Faizal. Thank you.